What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick before questions, we need to give a shout out to Shady Shane, who joined our Patreon at the Jedi Master level and also sent us a very, very nice message through the platform. So thank you so much for joining and for your support, Shane.
Our first question comes from JJ Smitko, who asks if that could be Dark Rey facing Rey at the end of the Rise of Skywalker trailer.
I don't think so. Everything points towards it being Palpatine, and we're talking about that shot where, someone is in that moving chair looking thing.
Yeah. The one shot that we've seen of Dark Rey, she's not sitting in a chair. We can't really tell where she is. I don't know. I feel like that's probably Palpatine.
They play a laugh at the same point, and it's like, yeah, that could be misdirection, but I think they're just teasing Palpatine for us, and they're being like, there he is. That's the closest look you'll get. And I don't know. We still have yet to see how big of a role Dark Rey is even going to have in this, if it's just going to be a vision or what. I think that Palpatine is the much more likely candidate to be sitting in that chair.
Yeah, I think also if it were Dark Rey, we might see a little bit of her lightsaber, like a little red glow.
Yeah, if I had that thing, I'd never turn it off.
Jamal Gunn wants to know how we will be covering The Mandalorian as it releases.
So it's going to be a little weird since the release schedule is so weird, and we also don't know when the episodes unlock.
Like what time of day.
Right. So my plan for right now is to still do an episode review like I have been doing for Star Wars Resistance or Rebels. And then we're also going to do just a long podcast, kind of unscripted, sit down and talk about the show. I want them both to come out the same day or the day after. It depends. So I think that at least one video will come out the same day that The Mandalorian releases, unless it unlocks at 8 p.m. at night our time.
Yeah. And also, I guess we'll try to keep the titles and thumbnails as spoiler-free as possible.
Sure.
Because a lot of people aren't getting it at the same time that we are.
Yeah, our goal is not going to be to spoil anything to anyone.
Yeah.
It'll just be like The Mandalorian episode title review. We're not going to be like, Boba Fett's still alive or something like that. But yeah, it all kind of comes down to when the episodes unlock. If they unlock at midnight our time, then that would give me enough time to watch it and get the video up for 9 a.m. in the morning, like my videos normally come out. If it unlocks at a different time, I'm probably going to not have a video come out at 9 a.m. that day. And just later on, as fast as I can get the review up, that's when it'll come out. And then shortly after will be our discussion. Oh, and I wanted to mention that on Patreon, we're going to take a break from our Clone Wars audio commentaries, and for 8 weeks, we're going to do The Mandalorian instead, since I think everyone's going to be wanting to eat up content about that and just discuss that further. So 8 weeks off from Clone Wars on Patreon, we'll do The Mandalorian, and then we'll go back to Clone Wars episodes.
Zebulon Veers asks if they'll ever make a Disney Plus Star Wars film exclusive for the platform, or will they always come out in theaters only?
I think Star Wars movies are always going to be for the theater first and foremost.
I think, I don't know, there could be a possibility of a film being for Disney Plus, but I could see it being more of an animated, kind of like the Clone Wars movie type film, something more for kids.
I could see that.
Involving the animated characters.
That feels more likely to me, yeah. But I think live action movies are probably always going to be for the theater. I mean, from what we're looking at, in the Marvel universe, they're doing a ton of Marvel shows. Didn't announce any Marvel movies, so I think they're probably going to keep Disney Plus as the small screen, basically like it's TV. And the movies are still going to come out in theaters, and then they'll come out on Disney Plus later.
Caleb A. Diaz wants to know if the Benioff and Weiss trilogy is going to be scrapped completely, or will they just find new producers?
So, word on the street is they were going to do The Origin of the Jedi. I can't imagine that they are just going to not do that story now. From what it sounds like it was a lot of different things that caused them to separate, but one of them was just that I think Lucasfilm disagreed with their take on The Origin of the Jedi. And that is a big reason to split apart, because that's an important piece of lore. So yeah, I don't think that they're going to just be like, well, we'll never tell the origin of the Jedi now. I think that base concept will still exist, and we'll get stories about them from different producers and writers.
If it were like an original concept, I think maybe, yeah, they might scrap the idea. But if it's something pretty heavy involved in lore that already is existing, yeah, they'll probably still do it. Hiromatsu asks if we will have any movie announcements between this year and Celebration 2020.
I doubt it.
I mean, yeah, that's not much time, and they still haven't announced much about the Kenobi series, and I don't know, we might get some announcements at Celebration as far as what the next movie will be, if it's Rian Johnson or if it's somebody else.
Yeah, I think that speaking of Benioff and Weiss, maybe they should wait to announce some of these things. Like, to announce just that they've signed a deal so early. Because, like, deals like this fall through all the time in Hollywood. It's just that they aren't so public.
Yeah.
And Lucasfilm is, like, so excited to be like, we're doing this and this and this. And really, it's not. It's more, we're working with this person and this person and this person. Oh, never mind, we're not. And then it becomes this big kerfuffle. So,
Kerfuffle.
Yeah, I love that word. So I think they'd be better off kind of waiting for Celebration or D23 events like that to make the announcement instead of just randomly dropping it on StarWars.com like they have in the past. I think it deserves that fanfare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where we left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained content like audio commentaries for the films and for the Clone Wars. This week we're doing the episode heroes on both sides, but like we already said, next week we will be doing audio commentaries for all of the Mandalorian episodes as they come out.
On to YouTube questions, Liam Walsh asks if DJ could appear in episode 9.
I hope not. I don't think he will, and I also don't think he should.
Yeah, I think his character served its purpose in Last Jedi. I don't know that we need him to come back.
Yeah, like, the point of his character was that, you know, not every rogue has a heart of gold. Like, some people just kind of suck. And if he comes back and helps in episode 9, it's like kind of defeating that purpose. So
yeah, why would they trust him?
I also just didn't really like the character, so I'm okay if he just stays over there.
Get out of there. Alexis Polito wants to know if Kylo saying that he will finish what Vader started could be retconned into finally ending the Sith and bringing balance.
I don't think it will be retconned. I kind of think that's what they meant from the start.
Do you think that's what he meant?
No, I don't think that's what he was saying. I think it's one of those kind of double meaning things where he's like, I'll finish what you started, and maybe he thought he meant destroying the Jedi.
Yeah.
But
might be some like foreshadowing
yes.
in the writing.
I mean, they said after the teaser came out at Celebration that it was always the plan to have Palpatine be the big bad of the trilogy. And at first I was kind of skeptical of that. They're like, okay, you're just saying that. But the more that I'm reading and seeing some stuff, I don't know. I think that it's very possible that they actually did plan all that out. Like, I love the idea. I talked about this in my video yesterday, that Palpatine is in the mask and he's the one that's been talking to Kylo. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of things that they set up that could be like, no, you'll see once episode 9 comes out that Palpatine was kind of present in a way through the whole sequel trilogy.
He's just constantly being that puppet master, even after his death.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him.
Yeah. Which who knows what that was, but I do think that that's probably, I think you're right. I just don't think it necessarily is going to be a retcon.
Fighting Falcon 777 asks if Sidious's revival could have something to do with Plagueis' experiments into extending life.
I guess.
I don't think they'll talk about that in the movie. Like, oh, this is because of Plagueis' blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, like they might. I think that mentioning Plagueis would be okay and not confusing, because I think you can safely assume that everyone has seen all of the other movies. So I think he could do a little Plagueis name drop, but to get too far into how he survived and to be like, my master taught me this and that, and I did this thing and this thing. I don't know. Like,
it's more of just a general Sith idea, kind of. Like, I don't know that you would necessarily have to say this was because of Plagueis's ideas. It's just something the Sith do.
Yeah, that's George Lucas and Dave Filoni have talked about, especially in the Clone Wars in relation to Maul, that the Sith they don't have life after death the same way that Force Ghosts do. So they will do everything they can to cling to some form of life so that they're not just blasted into the void. So I think it's probably going to be something more along those lines, but you never know. Plagueis could have helped him do something a little extra.
I wouldn't mind if Plagueis shows up and sees Rey and is like, have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
If Sidious shows up?
Yeah.
I was like, where Darth Plagueis comes out of nowhere.
No. Palpatine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know, we're throwing a lot of Sith names around.
And everybody's like, oh my God, he said the line. Is he going to tell the story again?
Yeah, he tells the whole monologue again.
And Rey's like...
But people would eat it up.
Okay. Bearcat5050 wants to know if Anakin winning the Boonta Eve got him any fame later in life. I never thought about this. I don't know. How often did they do pod racing races like that?
I mean, I think the Boonta Eve was yearly, but I don't think that it really mattered that much to the bigger galaxy.
Yeah. I could see him like being famous for a little while because he was like the first human that had ever won it. But then he goes off with the fancy Jedi, and I bet everybody back on Tatooine is like, well, he doesn't care about his origins.
Threw away your pod racing career.
Left all us other slaves here to fix pod racers.
Yeah, I mean, like, some of the racers did have fame throughout the galaxy. Like, Anakin has a Sebulba poster in his, like, apartment in the Clone Wars, or in his dorm. I don't know what to call that. His room. Now I'm imagining him with, like, lofted beds and a roommate, and, like, they're just yelling at each other. But, yeah, I think there could have been a level of fame, but since he went to join the Jedi, whatever he did with the Jedi probably way outshined winning a little, like, outer rim pod race.
Yeah, maybe people are telling stories about him, and so they're like, oh, I heard he went to join the Jedi. Well, I heard he went to become a famous pod racer somewhere else.
Maybe no one knows what happened to the real Anakin Skywalker. I hope he says, this is so wizard in episode 9 as a Force ghost.
Do you think
And he's like, no one says that anymore? What's wrong?
Do you think he wished he had gotten a little bit more fame from that win?
Probably, knowing Anakin.
Yeah. Agent N asks if there's any character we would want to come back from the dead like Maul.
Sorry, Biggs. Not even Biggs.
Not even Biggs.
I'm not a fan of bringing characters back to life. I didn't like it when they did it with Maul. I loved his story. Like, I got over it, and I loved what they did with him after he came back. I'm still excited about Crimson Dawn and stuff, but I'm just not a fan of, like, clearly he was meant to die. He got cut in half and tossed down that pit. No one should come back from that. So, no, like, there's no one that I think should get the Maul treatment. Whenever it happens, like, it's going to happen in 9, in my opinion. I'll get over it, but
Yeah, I agree. Although we could revisit this question after episode 9 is out and maybe be like, well, this person should come back. Although, I guess this is the end of the Skywalker saga, so...
So whoever dies now is dead for good.
Who cares?
Probably not. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.